Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 167th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Rebel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing well. I already asked you that because it's the same day we already recorded another episode.
I should have said something else.
Yeah.
But I never do.
I wouldn't expect anything different from you.
I'm pretty consistent.
We are coming right back with a basketball season preview. We're going to go through the whole schedule and make some predictions. And this is kind of a first look for us to really dive into the schedule, see what the conference situation looks like, how many non-conference games can this team rack up before entering a pretty tough SEC slate.
Entering.
Okay. Entering.
Sounded like you said injuring.
No, nobody's injured yet. Thank goodness.
Made it through the secret scrimmages, which doesn't always happen.
Seriously. How many secret scrimmages have we had?
2.
Creighton and
Oklahoma State.
And we tied with Creighton.
Yes, we did.
And rumor says
we beat Oklahoma State. I don't know about that, but that was what the rumor was.
Interesting.
Speaking of Oklahoma State.
Yes.
My God. Did you hear about their penalties from the NCAA that were announced yesterday, which would be Wednesday?
No NCAA tournament
November
for them,
3rd.
right?
No, yeah. They're banned from the postseason.
Yeah.
Well, they were actually received a penalty last year and appealed, and so it got pushed back. Remember, they had Cade Cunningham and everything, so they went to the tournament, were like a 4 seed, and made it pretty far. Well, because they appealed, they got to play last year, but this year the appeal was denied. The penalty was unbelievably big for the crime.
What was it, tutor related?
No.
That's about the worst thing you can do.
That's true. That's the death penalty, but it wasn't quite that bad. I think a current player was paid like $300 for something. It wasn't even a recruiting violation or anything like that. And they get a postseason ban, and they announce it like 5 days before the season.
Meanwhile, that's illegal now.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Their coach, Mike Boynton or whatever his name is,
that's him.
Was in tears, absolutely destroying the NCAA, like saying people by name that he dealt with in the NCAA.
Burn it all down, I say.
Burn it down.
We don't need them. Don't forget, everyone, you can, if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, leave us a review. That's super helpful, only if it's a good review. Subscribe on YouTube. Even if you just listen to us, head over there, click subscribe. That's helpful. And, of course, you can support the podcast directly on Patreon. Patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. So, Kyle, this basketball-only episode, that's kind of refreshing considering something we're not going to talk about because it's basketball only.
That was close.
Yeah, almost slipped up there. Missouri coming off of NCAA tournament berth, the second under Conzo Martin. Obviously, they went in his first season. Despite that, we're kind of sitting at a spot where overall sentiment on the Conzo Martin era so far, I feel like, has been disappointment from the fan base.
It does not feel like we're coming off of an NCAA tournament, and we were a 9 seed.
Yeah.
Felt like we probably should have been even better than that based on resume, strength of schedule. Yeah. I think that I think they deserved a better than a 9 seed, but here we are. And also
just, of course, just ran into a horrendous matchup.
Yes.
With Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And that didn't go well. Had a chance to win it at the end. Mm-hmm. Drew Smith was almost like the ultimate Mizzou basketball hero.
He's unbelievable.
But it wasn't meant to be. So, and basically the same thing happened Conzo's first season. They should have been a better seed just based on how good the team was at their peak, but because of injuries and stuff like that, they were not quite the same team going into the NCAA tournament that they had been all season, and got bounced in the first round of Florida State, who actually I think went to the Final Four that year.
Yeah.
So kind of a bad draw there as well. In between those trips to the NCAA tournament, Missouri dealt with more injuries and more underwhelming play from some of the players that we expected to step up each of those seasons. So there's a lot of fans out there that think Conzo Martin is not the guy long term for this program. And I think there are reasonable people that believe that and have some okay reasons for thinking that. I think there's also some people who are a little bit delusional and think and don't want to credit injuries or anything like that to the lack of success or lack of greater success so far. So I think, like usual, there's a little bit of middle ground there that we can find. And obviously the Mizzou administration is willing to give him some more time because they fully committed to an absolute rebuild this season. And we went over the roster last week. So jump back and take a look at that. We went through all the different players and what we expect from them. But this is absolutely a restart with a recruiting class that was handpicked by Conzo, some transfers that were handpicked, that some of which were guys that he recruited out of high school. And the returning players are players that he absolutely believes in and are like the most prototypical Conzo Martin guys, some of the most prototypical ones that have been in the program.
Yeah, as we know, college sports can be pretty unforgiving and pretty brutal sometimes, and people don't have a whole lot of patience for mediocrity and things like that, which is fine. That's how it goes. That's a business. But it's crazy to think how long some of the players that were on the team last year played for Missouri, and if you know, those guys may not have been Conzo Martin's first choice for players that he wanted to be at Missouri. And if you miss on a couple of players, like, you know, those guys are in your program for several years, like, I guess I'm interested to see Conzo Martin with a new group of guys kind of turn the page. And we love those players that were here last year. A lot of those guys, Drew Smith and Jeremiah Tillman, they made great contributions to Mizzou whenever they were here. And but I'm excited to kind of turn the page, get some fresh faces in here, and maybe a little more athleticism and that kind of stuff, and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So last time I'll say it, but check out last week's episode. This is going to be mostly schedule. Last week we went over the roster. So if you need to familiarize yourself with the new faces on the team, that's where you need to go.
Episode 165.
165, that's correct. Last week, not last episode. Thank you, producer Cameron. So looking at the schedule, we've got a non-conference slate that on paper is easier than we've seen for the most part under Conzo Martin, because I'm looking at the KenPom rankings of these squads, and we've got in the preseason rankings, we've got 4 Division I squads with a KenPom rating of about 250 or worse. Eastern Illinois we play in December, and they are projected to be one of the worst teams in all of Division I. And then we do have a matchup against a non-Division I opponent at the end of November. So there's definitely some wins to be had there, but Missouri also does play in a non-conference tournament where they'll be matched up against SMU in the first round. And then they get the home matchup, the half of the home and home with Wichita State this year. So that's kind of like the first part of non-conference. Then there's 3 games are right there at the end that I think will be very tough. They get to play Kansas. We're playing in Lawrence this time. Then we get the home matchup ending the series with Utah. And then, of course, we play Illinois in St. Louis. And Illinois and Kansas both figure to be 2 of the very best teams in the country. But let's start out with those first few games. We're just going to go down the schedule and project what we think will happen. And I'm starting us off with 3 straight wins against Central Michigan, UMKC, and Northern Illinois. I think those all should be tune-up style games. They're all at home. I think we're going to kind of be able to figure out some lineup options, who's going to be the main scorers, and be able to experiment a little bit in those games and still get wins in those first 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take some time for this team to gel a little bit, and to kind of figure out lineups and that kind of stuff. But I mean, these guys are all, you know, sub 250 Kim Pom teams. Like we really should. The athleticism should come forward. No matter how much time it takes to gel, we should be able to out-athlete these teams and find a way to win. So I'm right there with you. I picked 3 straight wins to start the year.
Then we have a neutral site game in Jacksonville, Florida against SMU. SMU on a neutral site, I think that's the first game that I hope is pretty competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Missouri has found something in those first 3 games that they can put out a pretty good performance against SMU. I do think SMU will be a little bit better. They're a little bit older team, and I think that will lead to Missouri's first loss of the season, neutral site game against SMU.
I actually predicted a win here. I think it'll be a close game, but I think that'll be a win and first real test for a lot of new faces.
Yeah. So depending on what happens in that game, they'll either play Florida State or Loyola Marymount.
That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I would say so. Since I have them losing to SMU and then playing Loyola Marymount, I've got a win in the second game. So I've got them splitting in the Jacksonville Classic.
I've got them splitting as well, losing to Florida State.
Okay. Then we get the home matchup against Wichita State, and I've got Missouri winning this one. I think it'll be really close. Hopefully the home court advantage puts Missouri over the edge in that one.
I've got it as a win.
But I think it's pretty much a coin flip.
Yeah.
Then we have, this one's really not fair because Missouri is playing against one person, Paul Quinn.
Whoever that is.
So I've got Missouri beating Paul Quinn, just a solitary man, it seems like, that Missouri is going to play basketball against.
I agree. I've got him starting off 6-0.
Paul Quinn?
No. Missouri Tigers.
6-0?
Yep.
Losing to Florida State, though.
That would also be that would definitely not be 6-0 then. I wrote 6 W's here.
Yeah.
But since Florida State's not on the Ken Pom thing yet,
True.
so I forgot about that.
So 6-1. Okay. That's a pretty good start to the season. I could live with that. I think maybe that would make some Mizzou fans a little bit too optimistic, depending on how some of those games go. But you got to kind of rack up non-conference wins when you can get them. So then we travel and play Liberty. We're ending a lot of home and home series this year. We're ending the series against Wichita State, Liberty, and Utah. So going on the road to play Liberty, not a game I'm looking forward to. I think it'll be a struggle, but I do have Missouri pulling this one out. I think Liberty's a bit worse than they were last year. So I think Missouri takes this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an ugly game, low scoring. I actually have this as a loss on the road. I think, I don't know, just Liberty's going to find a way to just muck it up just enough to where they'll get a close win.
That's completely possible. So basically, so far you and I have the SMU Liberty games flip-flopped.
Yep.
Then we got another cupcake against, this should be the biggest blowout of the season, I think, against Eastern Illinois at home before we travel to Lawrence to play Kansas. And Kansas was kind of trending down relatively recently, and then they just decided to just turn it back on and load up with very, very talented players, including a transfer who was the player of the year in the Pac-12 last year, point guard Remy Martin. He's going to come in and run the show and probably be one of the leading scorers in all of the Big 12 this season. And it's just kind of annoying to see Kansas flirt with kind of a downturn, flirt with NCAA issues, and just come out perfectly clean and probably be one of the better teams in the country this year. And, of course, we're playing them at Lawrence. It's not going to be a fun time. I'm projecting that to be a loss for Missouri.
So frustrating, too, that we were supposed to play them at the Sprint Center last year on a neutral court, obviously.
T-Mobile Center,
and sorry, everybody. And when Missouri probably had a good chance to knock them off. And somehow they weaseled out of that game, and we're starting the series in Lawrence with a totally new team.
Yeah, that's
isn't
frustrating.
Isn't that just something?
Yeah.
Sounds like Bill Self. He's up to no good over there.
Up to his old tricks. Man, how fun is it though that we're back in?
Yeah. It's great. Give me somebody to hate.
The rivalry is back, folks.
It's back.
It's not going to...
That's going to be a loss.
Yeah. So then we're back home against Utah. Last time Missouri played Utah, they kind of smacked us around a little bit.
An awful game.
A little bit of a wake-up call that first year under Conzo.
Mm-hmm.
Utah's not as good as they were at that time, I don't believe, and we get them at home. This is, again, another kind of coin flip game, I think, but I've got Missouri beating Utah at home.
I do as well.
Then, unfortunately, we go up against another rival who is potentially going to have an incredible season, and that, of course, is Illinois. We will play them in St. Louis. Somehow, Missouri got the win last year, but that was part of this, that was part of the, upward trend. That was, maybe the start of it for Missouri, where it's just wow.
And got to play it at home, too.
This team, yeah, that's true. This team is doing something special. Then they, obviously eventually beat Alabama, and it was what is going on? This top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, Missouri Tigers, but it didn't end up that way. I think Illinois gets revenge this year. I think they're going to be a really good team. I've got Missouri losing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Missouri's had pretty good luck in this series. I think that regresses this year. I don't see us beating Illinois, but it's somehow always one of those games. It's close every year, no matter how good the teams are. So
Javon Pickett is still on this roster.
That is true. Michael Jordan is still on the team, and
the Illini killer.
Yeah, you never know.
That's the non-conference. So let's see where we are here. I've got 9 non-conference wins.
I have 8.
Okay. So
I think we would take that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Right now. Because things are going to get more difficult in conference play.
What's your name?
My name is Cameron. Please sign me up for 9 conference wins.
Okay.
I'll even take 8.
Okay. Got you down.
Thank you very much. So, unfortunately, we start conference play on the road in Rupp Arena facing the Kentucky Wildcats.
Does it seem like we've done that before? It seems like we've played Kentucky on the road to start SEC play at least twice, which is not a great way to start.
We play Kentucky too much.
I agree.
In general.
Yeah.
Give us a year off.
Go to the Big 12. Give us a year off. Yeah.
Kentucky is had a really good recruiting class. I think the entire SEC caught a break last year with Kentucky just not really being able to put it together.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
You're not typically going to see that many really talented players struggle like that. So I think Kentucky bounces back this year, and they're going to start Missouri's conference season off with a loss.
Yeah, I think we really saw last year what happens. Even if you have incredibly athletic players, you still need shooters, and Kentucky just didn't have enough guys that could shoot last year. And
they found a couple against Missouri, but
yeah,
overall, not so much.
Yeah, they ended up giving Missouri a game for sure, but they needed some more consistent shooting, and I think they'll have that this year. They'll be better.
So then I've got us down for a win at home against Mississippi State. I think that'll be a really close one. Could go either way, but I'll give the Tigers a victory there.
Yeah, I don't feel good in any game versus Mississippi State or Ole Miss, but I actually do have them pulling this one out.
Yeah. Then I've got a home loss to Alabama and a road loss to Arkansas.
Same here.
I do have a home win over Texas A&M.
Same here.
Okay. Then it gets a little rough on my schedule here. I've got 4 losses in a row. On the road at Ole Miss, at Alabama, home against Auburn, and then I've got them losing a road game in the Big 12 SEC Challenge against Iowa State.
I have them losing to Ole Miss, Alabama, and Auburn, but I actually do have them beating Iowa State. I think Iowa State's going to be really, really bad.
Okay.
That is a road game, so it's a tough game no matter who you're playing. If it's on the road, that's college basketball. But I think they'll find a way to beat Iowa State. That could definitely change
Allow me, if I might, to complain again about when Missouri gets these fun matchups against a non-conference opponent, and it's the same team.
It's a team they've already played.
We had a home
times.
and home with them in the Conzo Martin era.
Yeah,
this always happens.
Is there much like human control over who plays in these like challenges?
If
though
there's not, I think you're probably right. It's standings.
I think it's
based,
just standings.
But then just switch it up. Just say, this is not as fun.
Well, that's breaking the law.
Well, arrest me.
Wow. Okay.
I'm tired of playing the same.
He's willing to go to jail over this.
I'm
folks.
tired of playing the same teams over and over again. It happens in football too. Okay, here is the signature win of the season, Kyle. We're going to upset Florida at home.
Really?
Yes, that's what I think. On Wednesday, February 2nd.
That'd be awesome. I have that as a loss.
Okay, well, I didn't want to have too many losses in a row, so I had to put a win in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I've got the following two games I have as losses. They're both road games at Texas A&M, at Vanderbilt. I've got us losing both of those. Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's still on that squad over in Vanderbilt.
And that's an away game.
Yeah.
I am very sad to say this, but I have 9 straight losses.
That's fun.
That is Florida, Texas A&M on the road, Vanderbilt on the road, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State on the road, Tennessee, LSU on the road, and South Carolina on the road. That's 9 straight losses. I'm sure Missouri can win, a couple of those games somewhere, especially the ones at home. They can find a way to beat Arkansas and Tennessee at home. I'm sure they can. I don't know that they will, or maybe a game
Ole Miss
or South Carolina. Home. They'll find some of those games. Though I'm sure they will not win lose 9 in a row, but they are not favored in any of those games.
No, they aren't likely to be when the time actually comes. I do have them winning at home against Ole Miss and Arkansas, which is probably not going to happen. Arkansas is going to be really good this year. But those are 2 home games, so I put them down as wins. I don't have a real rosy outlook to the conference season. So
no. I think that's kind of what this season is about, unfortunately. It's just like kind of seeing how Conzo Martin does with a new squad, seeing what they look like, just enjoying some new faces. But the expectations are low, and there's going to be some really frustrating moments, I think. I think this team will continue to struggle to shoot a little bit, but I think that, you may see some improved defense, may see some high-flying dunks and stuff like that, but I definitely think that we will, again, see Missouri probably struggle to consistently score.
Yeah. So I've got 4 losses in a row there, the ones you already named, closing out the year, except for I believe, probably both have a home win against Georgia to end the season.
Yep. So that's 12-18
overall
is what I have them.
I was not factoring in the second game of that tournament, so I have 15-16. But I had one more non-conference win, so I've got them at 5-13 in SEC play. Did you add that up separately? 5 SEC wins.
I have 4 SEC wins.
Okay. Cool.
I do think the SEC, it's just something like about the SEC. I don't know. It's like never any just super, super dominant teams. I guess Kentucky's always really good, but it just seems like, I don't know, night in and night out, everybody's tough. No easy wins.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee is a team that is trying to establish themselves as like a perennial power in the SEC, and I think Arkansas is on their way to that.
Yeah.
Based on how they've been recruiting.
It's a grind.
In 2019, Missouri won 5 conference games, which was only better than Georgia and Vanderbilt. So that would be, if what you think might happens, that would be a new low point in conference wins under Conzo. I'd be matching a previous low. Kyle, I have a question for you real quick. Looking at only conference games, so what do you have happening right before the Iowa State game?
3 losses.
Okay. So that's 12 conference losses in a row?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I forgot Iowa State was not in the conference.
Yeah, that very well could happen. I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
there's going to be a nice little losing streak there in January, February. Hopefully, it's broken up by a win in there somewhere.
Yeah, I sure hope so. It's going to be a dark winter if they really do as poorly as we think they could go. But
there are plenty of coin flip games in there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially some of those home matchups.
And how fun would it be to have a team surpass expectations in either sport? It seems like it's been a long time since that's happened. It seems like we're fairly like positive or optimistic or even just like kind of right down the middle, and a team is exactly what what we think they're going to be or worse. And that's we've been doing this podcast for 3 years now. It seems like that's happened pretty much every single time for both sports. So
and last year the basketball team looked like they were going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, for half the season or
a
little bit more, they acted like they were going to take it the next step and surpass expectations. But then they actually ended up being exactly where we thought they probably would be.
Yeah. We just know so little about what this team is going to be that I actually do think, the opportunity it absolutely is there for this team to maybe not blow away expectations, but be significantly better than we're expecting. And that would make for a very fun season if they're, on the bubble for the tournament or something like that. I think that would be, I think you'd sign up for that too, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's play in the NIT. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So good old Ken Pomeroy has Missouri at this point only favored in 8 games this year. Some of those are very, very close. But their actual projections are for Missouri to win 13 or 14 games because they don't factor in the second game of the tournament. So, and also to win actually 6 conference games. So they're giving Missouri a little bit more credit in conference play than we are, which sign me up for that. Kyle, which is more likely? I know this is a basketball episode, but Missouri, which team is more likely to play in the postseason? Missouri football or Missouri basketball? Any postseason?
Well, I guess that would exclude the SEC tournament.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. I guess I would say Missouri basketball. But would they go to some like smaller tournament like I don't even know what they're called, like the
CBI?
Yeah. Would they even, if they were invited, would they even go to something like that?
Probably.
So are you asking me, is there a better chance of Missouri football plays in a bowl game or Missouri basketball plays in the NIT?
Basically.
I'll say bowl game.
Yeah, because they could get in with 5 wins. I don't know what the APR situation is, but there's going to be a couple teams go bowling with 5 wins. Missouri could be one of them.
Yeah.
Or they could win 6 games.
They could.
But this is a basketball episode. So
hey, look what we've done.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance that the football team goes bowling than Missouri basketball plays in the NIT, but I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
If you say better chance Missouri wins 6 games in football or the basketball team plays in the NIT, I'd take NIT more likely. Pretty close.
It's close.
There's the schedule breakdown. Obviously, as the weeks progress, we will preview each game separately and dive into the matchups a little bit more in more depth and give new predictions and score predictions and all that kind of stuff. So before we wrap this thing up, we are going to draft 3-on-3 teams from Mizzou's basketball roster. And we'll post them on Twitter and put it up to a vote and see which 3-on-3 squad our Twitter followers think is better, mine or Kyle's. And producer Cameron, if you would do the honors of somehow deciding who picks first.
Who wants to pick to see who's going to pick first?
Kyle.
I wrote down a number.
Oh, okay.
It's either a 1 or a 2.
Give me a 2.
It is a 2.
Wow.
Are you all right with that? What just transpired?
That sounds fine.
Okay.
About the same as a coin toss.
Okay.
With the first overall pick.
The first overall pick. Well, Cam, you said something like there's some kind of shoe-in best pick. So I'm really hoping that I pick whoever you thought that was going to be.
I think there's two quality picks here, so I'm okay with either one of them you pick. If you pick a third option that I'm not really seeing, I'll feel really good about my back-to-back second and third picks.
Okay.
Man, he was so certain earlier that there was only one. Now he's like,
yeah. Now he's really using that speech play on me.
It's called mind games.
Mind games. Shoot, give me Kobe Brown.
That was the pick. That's the one I thought was.
Okay.
I thought he was the slam dunk first overall pick.
Okay.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much. To hear that, everybody, Cam likes my team already.
All right, I get back-to-back picks here. So Kobe Brown's off the board. All right, give me the point forward himself, Boogie Coleman.
Good pick. Good pick.
And I got some good versatility there. Yeah, I was. You had me thinking that you might pick somebody other than one of those two.
I thought about Boogie,
and then I was like, if he picks I don't know who you would have picked besides one of those two, but I was ready to just gobble them both up onto my squad.
Oh yeah.
You
would have had 2 point forwards on your team.
Yeah. How are you going to defend that?
I don't know.
For my second pick, give me the tried and true. You know him, you love him. Give me Javon Pickett.
Oh my.
What? You don't like that?
It's fine.
I love him.
Oh yeah, we love Pickett. I just remembered I have to make a pick.
You picked twice in a row to finish your roster out.
I guess Kobe will kind of be my big man. So I'm looking for guards, looking for shooters.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Give me Dajuan Gordon.
Okay.
I think he can shoot all right, and he can get to the rim. He'll be dunking over.
I think you're half right there.
Over Boogie.
Then
what are you trying to do?
Oh, sorry. You get to finish your roster.
Yes, I get to finish my roster, and I'm gonna pick. Give me Amari Davis.
Yeah, I thought that's what you'd do.
You knew it.
Okay. Got two versatile playmaker type guys, can guard multiple positions. You know what? I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say that I think Javon Pickett, I think he can guard Kobe Brown. So I'm going to go small here. I'm going to go for shooting. And I'm going to go for upside. And I'm going to take Anton Brookshire.
Congratulations. Pride of Kickapoo.
So I've got Brookshire running the point, but also Boogie Coleman can bring the ball up. And I've got Javon Pickett spreading the floor, playing good defense.
You got shooting. I'll give you that.
I think so.
I will give you that.
You've got, reiterate.
I've got length.
My squad, Anton Brookshire, Javon Pickett, Boogie Coleman. Kyle has Kobe Brown, Dajuan Gordon, Amari Davis.
You guys are never going to get a rebound.
That's possible.
better not miss.
That is possible. All right, so we will post those on Twitter and let us know who you think would win in a imaginary 3-on-3 matchup between those squads. I think I got you.
You might. See if you can win a poll for once.
Come on, people.
He needs you.
It's a conspiracy, I'm convinced.
They just like me, you know?
I guess so. All right, that's our basketball schedule preview. 3-on-3 draft.
So this will come out Monday.
Yeah.
And first game's Tuesday.
Right, Central Michigan.
So that'll be our first look at some lineups and who's going to score.
Central Michigan, 300 ranked KenPom team. This should be a relatively easy win for Missouri.
I would certainly hope so.
Central Michigan, not a very good defense. Look for Missouri to get out and run, score some points in transition. if we make some threes, that's like gravy. That's like cherry on top, because I think we'll be able to get whatever we want in transition and 2-point game.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see, you mentioned transition. I think that's going to be where we score a lot of points, especially early on in the season. Just sprinting down the floor off of a miss, getting the ball out in the outlet quickly, and scoring on easy buckets.
Which matchup you looking forward to most?
Obviously Kansas and Illinois. Those are going to be great games.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we're back into that every single year.
Oh, yeah, me too. And then football's going to be playing Illinois in the next few years too. But I don't know.
This is a basketball podcast.
This is basketball.
episode.
I'm really sorry I just said a curse word. I guess in the non-conference, I think those tournaments are kind of fun. So I think that SMU game could be close and could be really fun.
I'm pretty excited to see just the dynamic of Missouri playing against one single person in Paul Quinn.
Yeah, they're going to destroy Paul Quinn, whoever that is.
I feel bad for him. Like, well, how does this even happen?
In all seriousness, I have no clue what this game is. Like, why are they playing this team?
I looked it up. It is a college.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you think it was going to be? Like a high school team?
I thought it might be one single person.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not Division I. I'll tell you that.
They sure aren't.
But
that should be a win.
Yeah, I have it down as a win.
I do too.
All right. Well, basketball's upon us.
We better wrap this thing up.
It's a good time. Good time to be alive. Mizzou basketball, Mizzou football, both happening at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Let me thank some folks.
Yeah, thank them again.
Thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Lee, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Luis Hernandez, and Tim Keynes. I know Tim's ready for basketball season.
Yes, he is. Thank you, gentlemen. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
Thank you, gentlemen. You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Breaking news. Jeremiah Tillman was signed to the Orlando Magic's G League team.
Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week.